Hey, what is up, guys? Just wanted to make a quick video on how to utilize all three time zones on the Glycine Airman for both traveling and office purposes. So this video will be beneficial to anybody that has an office style GMT that is capable of tracking up to three time zones. So the first thing I want to cover is traveling. A lot of people don't think it's convenient to travel with an office style GMT. That's simply not true. Um, they are extremely convenient to travel with, and there is a method that I use personally when I travel, and I actually don't hear a lot of people talking about it for some reason. Um, but anyway, I'll show you that in today's video, and hopefully that um, makes it easier for you to travel with your office style GMT. Anyway, so let's go ahead and come up with a travel scenario, right? So let's pretend we're in Los Angeles and we're going to travel to New York. So right now in Los Angeles, it's 11:36, almost 11:37 a.m. and we're going to travel to New York. So we're going to hop on a plane and we're going to travel 3 hours ahead. So we're going to go to 2:37 p.m. Right. So now we've gone ahead and we've set our local time. So now we know our local time in New York is 2:37 p.m. But what about our home time? We still want to track our home time. That way we're not calling friends and family at ridiculous hours in the morning. Right? So let's go ahead and utilize our GMT bezel, and we're just going to turn it 1, 2, 3 hours forward, and then we're going to go ahead and lock that down. And now we know that it is 11:37 a.m. in Los Angeles. And we know that because our GMT hand is right past 11 on the AM scale and almost to the 12. So we know it's still AM in Los Angeles. It's not quite noon yet, and we can do that at a quick glance. So this is the method that I recommend you use when you're traveling. It's how I do it. So, very quick and easy, and, it doesn't take much time at all. Even with a true traveler style GMT, you're still going to have to unscrew the crown, pop it to the intermediate position, and then jump your hour hand backwards or forward, pop your crown back in and screw it down. Here, we've done that same step and set our local time, but we did have to take one more step further and adjust our GMT bezel. Not really a big deal in my opinion. And this is, the way I would travel and often do with my, office style GMT. But let's go ahead and talk about a second way you could travel with it. And this is where I think some of the confusion comes in. I think some people think that you have to use your independently settable GMT hand to track your home time zone. But let's go ahead and go over that scenario as well. So in that scenario, you would use your GMT hand to track your home time. And already you can probably see that the GMT only jumps forward and it only jumps in hour increments. So this is where I think a lot of people think that it's inconvenient to travel with an office style GMT because you might have to do this. So we're going to go past 11, almost to the 12. So now we know that it is 11:39, 11:40 basically a.m. in Los Angeles, and we know that it's 2:40 at our current local time. So we basically accomplished the same thing as we did when we turned our bezel, but now we're utilizing our GMT hand. Some people prefer this method because your bezel is still lined up, plus it frees you up to track a third time zone if you had to do so for whatever reason. So, it's kind of down to preference. Most people, when they're traveling, are only tracking two time zones anyway: their local time where they are, and their home time where their friends and family live. So, to me, I just turn my bezel and, set it, forget it, and move on. But for some people, they will want to do this, and, there is some benefits to doing that. Um, you know, Mainly being able to track a third time zone if you wanted to. Don't really know why you'd have to, but if you wanted to, you could do that. But anyway, that's where I think a lot of people think that traveling with an office style GMT is kind of inconvenient because you'd have to set your local time and then you'd have to adjust your GMT hand. Either way, still don't really think it's too big a deal no matter how you choose to travel with your office style GMT. But let's go ahead and set our GMT back to our local time. We're going to go right to almost the 15. So now we know it's almost, it's synced up with our local time because it's almost 3 p.m. and it's almost, the GMT hand's almost at the 15. So I'll go ahead and screw my Chrome back down. So now let's go ahead and utilize all three time zones. So for this scenario, let's pretend you traveled to New York, you liked it there, and now you have a job there and you work in an office. So let's go ahead and pretend that you have clients in London and you need to track their time zone. So it is 2:42 where you are, and in London they are plus 5 hours ahead of you. So we're just going to go 5 hours ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So almost to the 20. So it's not 8 p.m. there quite yet. It's more like 7:42, almost 7:43 in London. And where you are in your current time zone of New York, it is 2:43. So now we are tracking our local time and we're tracking our business partners in London. We know it's almost 8 p.m. there, and we're not going to call those guys because they're out of the office. But let's go ahead and track one more time zone. And let's say you have business partners in Tokyo. So Tokyo is 13 hours ahead of New York. And now we're going to go ahead and utilize our GMT bezel to track our next time zone. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and set our GMT bezel to almost the 4. So we know really it's more like 3:44 a.m. in Tokyo, but it's almost 4 a.m. in Tokyo. So now we've accomplished our goal of tracking 3 time zones. We know in Tokyo that it's 3:44 a.m. We know in Los Angeles that it is 7:44 p.m., almost 8 o'clock in London, almost 4 a.m. in Tokyo, and in our local time zone it is 2:44, almost 2:45 p.m. at our local time. So that's how you would track all 3 time zones. Hopefully this video helps you be able to utilize your GMT watch. I know for me, it was kind of a learning curve, and I just kind of had to tinker around with it. I definitely used the world clock on my phone to double check things quite a bit of times, and even when I still travel, I do that. But once you have it set, it is much easier to just to look down at your watch than to pull your smartphone out, go to the clock and go to the world clock and all that other stuff. So it's much easier to, travel with the GMT watch of any kind. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.